Neighbor is bat crap crazy, pretending to be an HOA president, charging us fake fees, and saying she owns the outside entirely. Posted by Snooperoo. Now this was posted in the legal advice subreddit, but this is not legal advice. This is a reading of a crazy story. Here we go. Hi guys, this is gonna be a doozy, but we really need some help. We just moved into a duplex and our Karen neighbor is an actual nutcase. We are friends with the landlord's daughter, and we actually have discussed how crazy this woman is, and for convenience, I will refer to her as the Karen, because she must be patient zero of this Karen epidemic. We've discussed how the Karen has got herself into some legal trouble with the past owner and the past tenant. We don't know the exact details, which we plan on trying to get, but don't know if we can get much about the past tenant, as they basically zipped off across country once they realized that Karen will not stop. But we know that the past owner sued her and that the past tenant had a restraining order against her from assault, and she got arrested shortly for not giving a rat's butt about the order and still harassed them. We thought we knew what we were getting into moving into the duplex. 2 days before the move, we Amazoned a package over. Specifically, one that just contained window films and a curtain rod, as we have no blinds or curtains of any sort in the rental and we wanted to install them as soon as we moved in. We knew how crazy the Karen was and didn't want to put our real name in it, which I realized might have been a bad decision. And I thought it'd be funny to put a secession reference in and address it to first name of Mo, last name of Lester. It was delivered a few hours before we arrived to move, and Amazon even took a photo of the package delivered. When we arrived yesterday, it was gone. We're pretty sure that Karen full-blown stole it, but we don't have any footage, although she does have cameras set up around the property for her own self, which in itself alone is kind of invasive and creepy. We don't know if we should report her and who we would even report this to. We really wanted to use it, and now we have no privacy whatsoever, and we're currently very low on money due to the move, so we can't just get another one. As we were moving yesterday, which was so stressful and I was running on 2 hours of sleep, she just comes on over and practically demands that we talk to her by saying that she wanted to get to know us and quickly go over the rules of occupying our side of the duplex. My husband didn't even want to really entertain her and said, we might have a few minutes. But she said, well, this is going to take more than a few minutes, and I am the president of the HOA committee. She was immediately extremely confrontational, and it was as if we were being interrogated when she asked our names and even wanted us to show her our faces as we were wearing face masks, and we still wear face masks to avoid COVID. She started just yapping about how we only may do modifications to the rental inside, as she owns the entire property outside. No bright or patterned curtains or blinds, as it's inconsistent with the aesthetic, and even claims she has full access to our basement, which is not true. Our landlord's daughter was saying that the HOA bylaws state that the outside property is not 50-50 and nobody owns more or less than the other when it comes to the outside. We simply share it. She was just spitting out lies after lies and even claiming that our landlord is basically nasty and created so many problems for her. Funnily enough, the problems that she stated our landlord gave her are the problems that she gave to our landlord and her daughter. She also gave us these 2 supposed legal documents she wanted to sign, like us understanding the rules of the HOA and the property and our application for renting this property. This document says we need to pay her a few fees, such as the application fee, which is non-refundable, $100 per person. Pet fees, water fees, even though our landlord has been paying the water bill and she hasn't, and so on. How do we go about this? Are we legally liable for anything? Do we get a lawyer ready or what? We do not want her to continuously harass us, and we do not want to pay her for such fees. She pretends to be the president of the HOA and gives our landlord and her daughter fake legal papers that state they need to pay her, so we are expecting that she will hand some over to us as well. We really do not want to go through all the fighting her with it not resulting to anything and her just harassing us our entire lease. Our landlord's daughter said that she's basically been in hiding to avoid the process server that has been trying to serve her, so she was surprised that she came out of her cave to talk to us. We are wondering if there's anything we can do to stop her in the future from giving us legal documents that have fake fees and rules, and how to tell her that we can actually use the lawn in the backyard. We already have a recording of the entire conversation we had yesterday for future reference should we proceed anything legal with her ourselves. We already have the contact info of the previous owner who previously sued her, and we will ask what the full case against her is of our landlord and her daughter. We just want to know what to do on our end, as we are the one facing her ugly head. Now there's an update in the comments. One poster asked OP, "I would not accept any paperwork from her and would not speak to her either. Politely but firmly refuse and state, as renters, we have no legal relationship with you, only with our landlord. You must direct any questions to the landlord, and all communications must go through our landlord. An HOA is for owners only. We are not owners." And OP says, "Thanks so much for this. We honestly feel like a deer in headlights being in this situation, but your comment has calmed us down a lot." As someone who's not a lawyer, reading this crazy story has got me thinking, like, how do you do something posing as someone else in legal matters and not expect to be caught eventually? I mean, surely someone is eventually going to drop this hammer down and say, "Hey, you're just trying to take advantage of me. You don't really own this thing. You're making it all up." And of course, the Karen will just try to get away with it, and maybe she did with someone else before, which is why she continues to do it to this day. But now OP is wizened up to the situation, and Karen has finally met her match. What do you think? Wild story, OP. New boss gives angry me an impossible task, posted by MD Laplup. I don't know if this is exactly malicious compliance, it's kind of a revenge story. I used to work for a big IT consulting company notorious for not paying overtime. I worked for a client's migration project for almost 1.5 years, leading the functional migration team. The three of us worked for the client 3 years before the start of the migration project, so we knew the data that we had to migrate, all the nuances, and 2 weeks before the migration date, 99% of that data was already migrated and validated. We only did the day-by-day new data and sag off pretty much those last 2 weeks. The other manager that outranked me became extremely angry about our calmness because the part that she led was behind schedule due to bad scheduling, and everyone was being overworked because of her mishaps. Come migration date, which was Saturday starting at 9 a.m., everyone was expecting long hours of work. But we clocked out at noon with the data validated with the client and the go-ahead signed, sealed, and delivered. My team got a written commendation from the client. The manager's team spent the entire weekend there. She got a complaint letter from the client. The manager complained about us and made me and my senior analyst spend the next month waiting for incidences and bugs and complaints. We got 5 in the whole month. My senior analyst spent 8 hours a day studying a new language, and I took the chance to update my CV because I wanted out and pretty much help a couple former colleagues that needed to solve bugs and problems within the manager's team's responsibilities. A couple of weeks later, evaluation time. At the IT company, everyone was graded A to D, A being exceeding expectations and D being you're out of here. B was good and C was pretty much I'm starting to think you might not be good to work here. Given the commendation from the client, I was expecting an A. My evaluation was done by the manager and my mentor, which was a close friend with the manager. They gave me a C because we didn't see any pressure on your work and you certainly lack motivation. I complained and took a long overdue, already planned month-long vacation. This was June. After that, back at work, I was assigned to a project on another client led by manager's husband. He wanted me to prepare 122 integrations with different systems in 4 months. I told him that in the previous project led by his wife, they took 2 years to have 12 integrations ready, but I would give it a shot. I even emailed him the planning where it clearly showed the time they took. 2 of those months were July and August, months that pretty much everyone on the client goes on holiday. Manager and wife also went on holiday pretty much all of August. I spent those 2 months chasing people around the client's office, but starting September, 6 integrations were closed and 6 more were almost closed pending validation. Manager came back from holidays and was furious. He called me a slacker and started telling me that his wife was right, that I lacked motivation, and that I would need to spend the rest of the project duration working till midnight to make up for the lost time. And I said, no, I won't do an hour more than what you're paying. I told you that your expectations were unrealistic, and you went ahead with them anyways. He went ballistic. And I replied, I just lack motivation to work in your project. I want out of the project. I was out of the project in no time. I got a call from my mentor. She said that they were evaluating firing me without pay because of this. I told them about the unrealistic planning, and she said that I was being unrealistic and that the planning was good. I produced the email that I sent the manager. My mentor went quiet. A minute later, she told me, "What do you want?" If you can't guarantee that I won't do an hour of overtime ever again, I want out, full severance, and then some, and I want the company to make it look like I quit, not that you fired me. She went quiet again. She said she'll see what she could do. I was out of there, smiling by the end of the day. Update. From the team that remained in the project, 4 guys were on my team before the migration project. They all complained, and they all got out of the project as well. As far as I know, the project took twice the expected time to be completed. Manager's husband got nearly fired. The wife held a lot of power and managed to save his butt. I mean, this manager and mentor combo, are they really a mentor if they're going to be going against you like that? They're supposed to be fighting in your corner. And no, they're just buddied up and they think that they have this unstoppable force that no one can go against. They take down all the workers, they do what they want, but when OP hits the scene, he says, hey, this is what I want, this is what's going to happen, I am doing the work, you don't like the way I'm doing it, but this is what's getting done. Your demands are unrealistic, so I'm going to do what I know to do. And that ended up being the right play as OP holds the power here and decides his fate and what happens next. Way to go, OP, and let me know what you think. Loss Prevention wants us to put in service calls, posted by Cole Carmot. I work for a printing company, and as I tell a lot of people, much of my job is literally malicious compliance. People wanting things printed despite how they look, spelling and design errors, and just being plain ugly. This is another story that has come up these past 2 weeks. A while ago, one of the other locations absolutely destroyed one of their printers. Toner everywhere. The finisher unit was a hunk of plastic and metal, and I genuinely don't know what they did to the machine, but it was screwed up beyond all recognition based on the photo, especially since the toner cartridge is not in that finisher unit. An investigation took place, and it was discovered that rather than calling in printer technicians to repair the machines, some of the company employees were repairing them instead. A company-wide message went out essentially telling everyone not to repair or perform maintenance on the machine ourselves. Genuinely, common sense things had to be put on paper because someone did something stupid. We were always supposed to put in service calls to the techs to come and take care of the machines, or we will be brought to HR. 3 months later, last week, 2 guys from Loss Prevention, who will be calling Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, came in to do a regular check-in. Everything was going great, until I needed to change the paper in one of the printers. Tweedledum approached me and basically began raking me over the coals, saying that only technicians can open the machines. Of course, I am dumbfounded, because all I'm doing is changing the paper, but I just shrug and say, sorry, won't happen again. Well, the next day, I was brought into a meeting with HR over a video call, basically wagging their finger at me. My boss, D, took the fall for me and said that he was the one to tell me to change the paper, so I got off scot-free, and D only got a slap on the wrist. Thankfully so, as this would have been my second write-up in 2 months. The first was a stupid but legitimate mistake on my part. However, as a result of this, the whole facility went into malicious compliance mode after that meeting. Need to change out the paper trays? Service call. Paper jam? Better put in a service call. Need to change the toner? That's a service call. Our output of jobs last week was absolutely in the toilet. Machines were down for nearly 90% of the shifts. The techs were having a field day, however, as they got paid per call they took. While our backlog is through the roof, we were able to make our point eventually. I am not sure exactly what had been happening in the background, but today I received a handwritten apology from Tweedledum and Tweedledummer with a $50 Visa gift card saying that they didn't understand what our job required when they reprimanded me and referred me to HR. We are back at full capacity now and have a huge backlog to catch up on. I'm hoping, in addition to this gift card, I can also get in some approved overtime for some extra spending money on an upcoming trip that I have planned. The company that I work for may be dim at times, but at least they often admit when they make a mistake. Update 1. So I learned a bit more about the situation. The loss prevention people that were involved were the ones directly dealing with the loss of the destroyed printer, and there turned out to be a misunderstanding about everything. My other coworkers in the copy center have gotten into the habit of putting excess paper in the opposite side of the paper tray as storage. Now, the tray can hold up to 12 by 18 paper, so when there's 8.5 by 11 in there, they use the extra space for storage. The techs in D have told them not to do that as they can damage the machine. Whenever I see the excess paper, I take it out. That's what loss protection saw and why they reprimanded me in the first place. They assumed, since I was working with the machines, I was the one who put that extra paper in. I learned this when the company assigned Karen was written up and made it rather vocal today. The problem with working with a good company like this is that it takes way too long to get rid of problem employees. I mean, this is just perfect malicious compliance because they say, oh, there's a problem, and you say, oh no, not exactly the way you're thinking it is. They send in the dummies to come and try to fix it, so you say, oh, okay, you want us to do service calls? We'll literally do service calls on everything to make a freaking point. And that point has been made as the bosses now see, oh, okay, maybe we should take a step back and reevaluate what's going on here. Maybe we're the wrong ones and the employees are right, which is an important distinction to make here. Let me know what you think. Way to go, OP.